Welcome to the ACIST Medical Systems injector training video for the CVi system. My name is Brad Berg, the technical trainer for ACIST Medical Systems. And with today's video, I'd like to give you a little bit better understanding of the setup of the system as well as the operation. The CVi system is designed in a modular form, which makes it easy to service, install, and upgrade. Let's start with a description of the modules. First, we have the injector head, then we have the control panel, and the power supply. A description of some of the components on the injector head. We have our contrast sensor, the air column detect sensor, our manifold sensor, the MEDX transducer, our syringe barrel, and the peristaltic pump. With the control panel, we have our touchscreen, the standby switch, and our arm lamp. With the power supply, we have our on switch and our LED lamp. The ACIST disposable kits consist of three separate packs: the A2000 syringe kit, the BT2000 manifold kit, and the ATP54 hand controller kit. The A2000 syringe kit is a 5-use kit. It consists of the syringe barrel and the spike assembly. The BT2000 manifold kit is a single-use kit, and it consists of the saline line, the manifold, the pressure transducer, a hand syringe, and a sterile cap. The ATP54 kit consists of the hand controller, the high-pressure tubing, and the three-way stopcock. The ACIST system, as you see it here, is mounted on the cart. The most common configuration is to have it mounted on the X-ray table with the supplied bed mounts. There also is a bed mount that is provided to mount the control panel, and we also have an additional control panel extension arm, which would allow the operator to position the control panel in multiple positions on the table to save space. To initiate the calibration of the touchscreen, the operator will touch the Bracco ACIST logo screen once, and that will boot them into the calibration mode. The operator is instructed to touch the crosshairs very precisely in the top left, the bottom right, and the top right areas of the screen to calibrate the screen. Once the calibration is complete, the system will reboot. Now this control panel is calibrated to this injector head, and now we'll begin with the setup of the system. First, we'll press the start button. Pressing the start button gives you the choice of the cardiac mode or the peripheral mode. For this demonstration, I'll choose the cardiac, in which case that initiates the calibration of the RAM. The system then comes to the load syringe screen, where it will prompt you to load our A2000 syringe. This is done by releasing the white pin on our sleeve, which allows you to rotate the sleeve outward and insert the syringe. Once that is done, rotate back inward and make sure the locking pin is in the locked position. Once we've inserted the syringe, we can press done on the screen, and you'll see the RAM come forward and engage the wiper. On the spike contrast screen, the first instruction is to connect the manifold. I'll remove the protective caps. And rotate the hub until tight, and the manifold can sit in its clip. Once that's done, I'll just lay the tubing here for the time being while I perform the refill. I'll spike the bottle of contrast, always at an angle to avoid any drips or spills on the system, and I can adjust my hanger to adjust for any size bottle or bag. Once that is complete, I'll put my contrast sensor around the spike and make sure that it is engaged and snap shut. Once this is done, I can press OK on the screen. The refill begins. As this is happening, I can start with the setup of the saline line and multitask as the system is filling. As the system fills, it automatically purges the air from the syringe. This is done by the angle of the system, which all the air will gravitate towards the top of the syringe, and we inject from the bottom of the syringe. Any excess air in the syringe would be pushed up into the bottle. For the setup of the saline line, I'll spike my saline bag. And hang it on the hanger provided in the back of the system. I'll remove the protective cap on our transducer cartridge, which then allows me to insert this into the MEDX transducer. Verify that you do hear a snap and that will be fully engaged in the transducer. Once that step is complete, I'll put my tubing in the peristaltic pump by lifting the latch that allows me to insert the tubing. But before we latch that close, we're going to draw back saline with our hand syringe from the manifold area. I'll attach the hand syringe and slowly draw back saline to wet the tubing. Once that step is complete, then the latch can be closed. The hand syringe will be positioned on the end of the tubing until the procedure begins. Once these steps are complete, we'll press done. This brings me to the purge tubing screen. The purpose of the purge tubing screen is to remove any air that would be in our rotating hub. When I press and hold the purge button, you'll see contrast be expelled and remove any air from my rotating hub. Once that step is complete, I'll press done, and it brings me to the flush screen. I bring out the mallet. This helps me remove the air bubbles from the low pressure tubing. Once I press the flush button, I'll be tapping on the tubing to remove any excess air. This is a 10-second flush, and it will time out once that 10 seconds is up. The next part of the flush, I'll concentrate on the transducer and the manifold area. Press the flush button again, concentrate above and below the transducer and the manifold area, tapping to remove any air bubbles that would remain in here. Once that step is complete, the system has basically set up. Now we're opening up the sterile hand controller pack. This pack is generally dumped onto the sterile tray or onto the X-ray table. We'll take the high pressure line and we'll connect to the end of my manifold. The high pressure tubing is connected to the manifold line. Make sure there's a tight connection. My high pressure tubing is inserted into the air column detect. Now the air column detect sensor is a secondary device for monitoring air. The primary device will always be the operator's own two eyes. The strain relief on the front provides support so there's no false triggering of the air column sensor. So the physician will connect the stopcock, make sure it's a tight connection, and then we'll begin the flush sequence. The hand controller is handed off by the physician to an unscrubbed technician, and they will make the lure connections at the bottom of our hand controller. You have a male and a female lure, so they cannot be reversed, and make sure they're nice and tight. The high pressure line is then flushed by pressing the flush button, allowing for saline to completely flush out our high pressure tubing. Once the setup is complete, we'll come to what we call the main screen. The first operation for the operator on the main screen is to calibrate the hand controller. This is done by pressing OK on the screen and give a full depression on the top button of the hand controller. Once the hand controller has been calibrated, it's now calibrated to that physician's touch. Now let's review the touch screen and the functions of the screen. On the top we have our parameters. We have our flow rate, which is how fast, our volume, which is how much, our pressure, which is our limit for the syringe pressure, and our rise time is the amount of time it takes to get to this flow rate with a complete depression of the hand controller. On the right side of the screen we have the types of injections that we do, which is the left coronary, the right coronary, the LVAO, and an other. Following down the right side we have the three different functions that the system can do, which is inject contrast, flush with saline, or purge contrast. Continuing on to the bottom of the screen we have the mode button, which as you see on the top we're in the variable mode. If I touch the mode button I turn into a fixed mode. The hand controller calibration is initiated from the center button. Continuing on we have the start refill button. The start refill will start and stop the refill, and will also has an automatic refill function as well. The color is just a color scheme for the system which will change the overall look of the screen. The two main ways that we display information to the operator with the indicator box and the status window. The indicator will display nice to know information like status of the sensors and other things like that. The main window is where we display the information to the operator that requires a response from them. either OK or cancel depending on the operation of the system. There's a few extra functions on our peripheral mode of the CVi. As you can see, instead of left coronary or right coronary, we have the catheter types in the upper right box. In the center, you'll see the settings for the delay of the X-ray and the delay of the injection. The KVO function is keep vessel open, which provides a slow pulse of saline at the selected rate by the operator. To arm the system in a synchronization mode, we will first set the appropriate parameters. We'll turn the synchronization button on and then arm the system to inject as we would normally. Now the system is able to be remote controlled injected from Siemens, GE, Toshiba, or Philips hand switch in the control room. One of the unique features of the hand controller is that it works much like the gas pedal in your car. The deeper that you press on the button, the faster the flow rate up to the selected limit. This allows the operator to give very small injections at a variable control rate. The saline button is just an on-off switch. Once we'll start the saline flush and once we'll stop the flush. One nice feature of the system is the auto refill. So once this injection is complete and it brings me with a volume which is less than what is selected on the screen, you'll see the system automatically refill. The stop refill button is pressed and you'll see the system automatically purged. To arm the system for injection, we'll press inject. The system asks you, is it okay to arm the injection? And if you press OK, the system is now ready to inject. You're also informed by that readiness by the armed light on the side of the control panel, which would illuminate. To perform the injection, the operator will simply press on the top contrast button, and as you can see, as I perform the injection, you receive a real-time flow rate and volume that is being delivered. After the injection is complete, you'll see under the last injection area the actual flow rate and volume that I achieved for that injection. Along with the other information at the bottom, you see a contrast remaining total and a contrast delivered total. The contrast delivered total helps the operator determine how much contrast was delivered to their patient during that procedure. The automated manifold is the unique design which allows the contrast and saline port to be switched on and off automatically. This does away with the need for the manual turning of stopcocks. This is done by closing off the saline port as we begin the injection, and the valve returns to its normal closed position once it's complete. So once you see me start pressing the button, you'll see the valve open up. After the injection is complete, the valve will close automatically. So as you can see, in the normal closed position, the manifold is allowing the pressure to be read by the transducer at all times. It's only during the injection that the pressure monitoring is off for that couple seconds. Either use the saline button on the hand controller, or that function is also on the control panel as well. Pressing it from the control panel is a touch and hold function. The saline flush will be delivered for as long as you touch the button with a 10-second timeout limit. The function from the hand controller works like an on-off switch. So once you press the saline button once, that will start the saline. Press it once more and the saline flush will stop. That also has a 10-second limit timeout as well. Once the procedure is complete, the operator will record the amount of contrast that was delivered. The next function is to do the end case, which walks the user through the instructions to set up for the next procedure. The operator will press end case. It'll prompt them, is it okay to end case? They'll press OK. You're giving two choices. Are you shutting down the system? Or no, are you just moving on to your next procedure? We'll choose no. It tells me that the maximum recommended uses for the syringe is 5, and I've used this for 1 time. It'll prompt me to use a new syringe. If I haven't used it 5 times, I will choose no. And then the system prompts me to disconnect and discard the single-use components from the ACIST, and then walks me through the setup screens to hook up the next patient kit. To end the case and to shut down the system, the operator will choose the end case button. They'll be asked, is it okay to end the case? They'll choose OK. Are we shutting down the system? Yes, we are. In this case, it will ask me to disconnect my high-pressure tubing and remove my contrast container. Once that is complete, I'll press OK. The RAM will move backwards and disengage the wiper, which then allows me to remove all the disposable kits and discard with them. We'll start with the saline bag, the hand controller, the tubing through the peristaltic pump, the transducer cartridge and the Med-X, the manifold, the air column detect tubing, the bottle, and finally the syringe. A few precautions with the ACIST system. Do not use the ACIST disposable kits longer than the intended use. That is single use for the hand controller kit, single use for the manifold kit, and 5 times uses for the syringe kit. Always check the parameters for the appropriateness of the injection. And remember, the flow, volume, pressure, and rise time is the maximum limit that you can achieve with that injection. Always verify that the pressure setting does not exceed the catheter's recommendation. Do not allow the system to sit with a loaded syringe of contrast overnight. And then do not leave the system powered on overnight. I hope this training video has provided you with a foundation of knowledge for the ACIST system. I'd like you to use this as a reference material, and continuing forward, we'd like to provide more training videos focusing on the sales and the applications aspect of the ACIST CVi.